Hi, I'm Mike Murphy, and I'm here to talk to you about using AI to develop software. In this new world, context is the source of truth. The software is just a byproduct of the deliverable. What I mean by that is if we capture the context, the words we use, the words it uses to define, say, architecture and other decisions, all the key decisions are saved or the context is saved. Theoretically, AI can rebuild the entire solution with no intervention in the case of if you delete, say, all the source code. This is a powerful concept to think about, and it is a directive that I am focused on for all my work from this point forward. The context is the actual value, the code is no longer the value. This is called context driven development. In the process I'm going to go over today that I've developed, um, there is an AI driven requirements interview where we make sure AI actually fully understands your requirements. The context is reviewed and improved both by me and also I have multiple AI agents, Claude Code, Gemini, and ChatGPT, peer reviewing the requirements, the solution design, and project plan to make sure you have a robust solution from different angles and different specialized knowledge. The actual work is actually assigned to subagents. What is a subagent? Well, AI is general knowledge, just like we are general knowledge. And in human world, we might get assigned a role that you're, say, a project manager, or you're an architect, or you're a security person. Well, that lens focuses with your considerations to make sure that the overall solution will be robust from the particular angle that is of interest to you. In the case of architecture, when I would be talking to other people, I'm always thinking about, well, how are we going to architect this to make this something that we can last in a robust manner? The same thing with AI. So when you have subagents or you hear agents, it's really taking the same exact AI given different context with different specialized perspectives. In this particular process, I use GitLab Kanban boards as a common communication vehicle to capture the context to actually make architectural decisions or communicate with the AI so that there is an easy way to adjust as people what we're doing with software to persist those decisions over time and maintain that context. The context development driven development plan uses a requirements phase, a solutioning phase, a planning phase, a board setup, which is basically the Kanban board, and execution. Every step of the way, the context is saved and maintained. When this context is created, there is a robust amount of detail that includes architectural diagrams, decision boards, and all sorts of different feedback between you and the AI that can be persisted. The multi-modal design solution, as mentioned before, I call this the review board. It's Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude. When the review board is fired off, it's for all these different steps that were already mentioned. A key one that I've used a lot, which really helps, is when AI gets stuck trying to solve something. If I have the AI when I primarily use Claude Code as my primary driver, fails a couple times in a row to solve a problem, it's mandated to go to the review board. The review board, all these agents are fully running 24/7. They have full read access to the entire server, no write, except for a directory for actually notes. And the idea being is that when the review board is called upon, they should have full access to give their opinion on anything. Obviously, all three are at the highest level of the models with their latest intensity to make sure that when they're contacting, you're getting the best of breed answer. They may conflict with their opinions, but the idea being is if I have three different opinions, just like we do with people, is to talk it out and to figure out what is the best solution. To carry out the team work, we have an AI or subagents, a project manager, architect, security, developer, QA. These are arbitrary ones I started with. I actually evolved this a little bit over time. There could be more in the future. The idea being is that with AI, context is really the heart of everything. And you don't want to have all the context given to one specific AI. For example, if I said I have one AI with all the different perspectives listed on the screen, the AI will be confused. Which hat is it wearing? Which consideration is important? by breaking up the AI into a smaller context, you can give it targeted knowledge for that role, eliminating the other noise, say what QA has to care about or developer has to care, security has to care about. So an architect gives a focused solution on architecture. By having less noise, you have less hallucinations and better answers. Further, as you work, you incorporate the lessons learned back into the architecture through skills and other things to make sure the architecture becomes best of breed over time. This process will be a never-ending process. So as an example, during the planning phase, these three all come up with their own plans or peer review the plans. They're peer reviewed and homogenized down to a final plan, and they all in the plan, the tasks are assigned to the different roles and who's going to do what. So you can parallel work and dependencies. So sometimes maybe you have to wait for one task to complete before 5 more tasks can be done in parallel. The entire process is divided up by more agents, more parallelization, and dependencies to make sure they can work at maximum speed. For those who may have ever looked at GitLab, this is a Kanban board. You'll have information, you'll have tasks, you have decisions. This is just an image, but I can click through here. It would have a full list of, here's a description of what we're looking at, checkbox of what your decision is, or maybe actually just have a comment and free form talk back to the AI. The idea being is that as you're looking through this, you can actually pull these over into the ready board, and when you run the AI to go process, it's going to process everything in all the columns to move it down to the done state. You just keep on repeating this process for as long as you want. Right now, you notice up here I have initial. If I do it another enhancement, it would be a new board that's added to this. So if there's a major enhancement, it would have its own board with all of its other requirements. The idea over time is that this particular project could have multiple boards, all of which are representing different enhancements as well as the initial setup. Further, once the code is ready to be built, there is a CI/CD pipeline built into GitLab with multiple phases. You have your code analysis, you have your testing, which is unit tests, you have build and deploy and QA. For those who are less technical, basically, this is just using best of breed multi-step processes that are generated by the AI automatically to do the appropriate unit test cases, QA test cases. And when AI does not cover a test case, it should, just like people, you just tell it to add that test case so that when you do find a bug, fix the bug, by the way, add a test case, and now for the rest of the life of this project, you don't have to worry about that bug coming back because there's a test case associated with it. As you can see here, we have this one that ran through. There was a little warning. I clicked through and it shows the different QA phases for this work. And this one right here had a warning. It wasn't a failure. So in this case, there's 283 unit tests and 20 end-to-end tests. This uses Playwright, which basically means it sees what you see when it tests end-to-end. It's looking actually at the web page, clicking the buttons, executing through to make sure that the response that you see is what it sees. And if it fails, it will fix it without having to involve you. As I described the board-driven view, typically when I run it, it runs through. It can go from right to done without involving me. But anytime there's some question or a problem, which is not that frequent, but when there's a decision maybe that we didn't think up front, me and AI, up front about something's decision, it might create a decision card and have to make a decision. So there is a step in the in progress section where it might pause to need my input to proceed. So that does keep us in the loop as people to make sure that the work or time being spent is actually in the direction that we want. And there is always a free-form comment in case whatever AI says, hey, decision A, decision B, maybe it's completely wrong, and you want to do a different comment and tell it what is the right answer. So this comes back to where we started. Context is the source of truth. Software is deliverable. By having a evolving, tight, best-of-breed CI/CD pipeline, with the proper context saved, you can rebuild the entire solution with no intervention. What I have right now, and I've been using, is this kind of a pipeline with fully automated I was on vacation last week. My wife and kid would sometimes leave me. I would be right up on my phone with my remote agents ready and waiting to talk to and revolve the project. I have some projects I'm working on. Maybe I'll create a different video to show, like a personal assistant I can talk to. It can take notes, and it's kind of like a OpenClaw and other things like that, but something that's more contained and controlled that can evolve over time. So if you're interested to learn more or to understand more, you can contact me through LinkedIn. I do have a much more technical detailed video I can show, but what I wanted to show in this case is that the concept of a context-driven development with a proper automated pipeline, you can be developing 24/7 using AI. Thank you so much.